Boy Green Daily is back after a small hiatus yesterday. We've got plenty to discuss. Is it tank time? What about the playoff standings? Tim Boyle? More of him? Let's get into it.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show that's also available in audio-only form by simply searching for Boy Green Daily wherever you find your podcast. And we had some technical difficulties yesterday. I was traveling all over the place with different families, and their Wi-Fi was no comprende, so it snapped a long streak. We had done a show every single day since August, so that snapped our streak of daily shows, but that's okay. We'll start a new streak. Hopefully a new era is what we can begin, and we do have an old era, though. That is Italy Jet, who joins us every Monday here on the program. Let's allow him to grace him with our presence, or him with us presence. I don't know. Either way, good morning, Italy. How are you? Ciao.
Ciao, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And shout out to all the people that go to these games, that spend their money and go to these games. Shout out to all of them. Boy Green, how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'll be honest. I'm sick as a dog. I've been sick for months, or it seems like it anyway. I have no idea what's going on, but it might be this Jet season. It might be me slowly coming closer to death. I'm not sure of which, but nonetheless, I think it is a realization this morning, and it's in the title of the video, right? So Tim Boyle,
Right.
Jets era continues. Robert Saleh announced over the weekend that he will keep riding the Boyle train for their upcoming game against the Atlanta Falcons. By the way, we're in first place in the NFC South after beating the New Orleans Saints over the weekend. But I'm battling an identity crisis here, Italy, and let's talk about it. Let's show it up on the big screen here for everybody. I made a joke about it on Twitter, like, oh, wow, the Jets aren't in the hunt graphic anymore using the Jennifer Lawrence. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? But they aren't even on the graphic anymore.
Nope.
And there's only two teams that aren't featured on the graphic. That is the New York Jets and the New England Patriots, which brings us to this is the AFC playoff standings as currently constructed. Ravens number 1 seed, Chiefs number 2, Jaguars number 3, Dolphins 4, Pittsburgh 5, Cleveland 6, Indianapolis 7. There are 7 teams to make the playoffs in each side of the conference, but got to scroll a little bit. Find the Jets. Here we go. The Jets are 15 out of 16 teams in the AFC. The only team they're above is the 2-9 New England Patriots. Wow. And for those who don't know, obviously wins and losses matters. The Jets are only 4-7, but the conference record is the next tiebreaker outside of head-to-head with each of these teams, and they're 2-6. 2-6 in the AFC. Not great. So long story short, to paint the picture very firm here, the Jets' playoff chances seem non-existent at this point. Which then leads me to say, is it mock draft Monday time? Is it tankathon time? Because I pull up the 2024 NFL draft order here. The Jets, if the season ended right now, would hold the 8th overall pick. They're in a glut of a bunch of 4-4 teams. The thing that hurts them a little bit is the tiebreaker, for those who don't know, for draft order, is strength of schedule. And they have a 5-16 strength of schedule. So what does that mean? So you see Tampa that has a 489 strength of schedule. That means they're losing against teams that aren't as talented or aren't as good record-wise. So thus, It's more embarrassing, basically. Like, the Jets are supposed to be losing when the strength of schedule is that high. So that is the number one tiebreaker. So what the Jets are going to have to hope for is, by the way, the 4-win teams start at 5th overall. So technically there's a path there. The Jets do play Washington coming up. So that one's on there. They play New England, who holds a 3rd overall pick. So they play a couple of these teams in front of them, and some of these teams play each other. But long story short, when I look at the playoff positioning in Italy and say, yikes, I don't see it there. Is it time for us to turn the page to the draft? What say you, Italy?
It's one of those things. I just hate talking about the draft. You know what I mean? Like, especially around this time when this should have gone not in this direction. But now, yes, statistically, we're still in it. But let's be honest, it's done. It is done. The Dolphins was the end of it. Like I said a couple weeks ago on this show, I've said all my pods, the time will tell when the Dolphins game and the Bills game, because it's in your division. There's no way that we could win anything else if you don't win your division now, because 3 times where you can control your own destiny, right? And they didn't. But in Jets fashion, think about this. In Jets fashion, could we win against the Falcons and Texans? Knowing the Jets, probably, because they always surprise us all the time when they fail in those big moments. And then all of a sudden, you got Rodgers maybe coming back and gets the Commanders now. It's kind of like in desperate mode now. It's kind of like you're trying to save Hall and Wilson that keeps telling the fans, hey, they don't deserve this. The fans don't deserve this. Organization doesn't deserve this. We don't deserve this. I feel sorry for them. Now you're trying to salvage any type of brain mind for next year just to get these guys together. And Rodgers, it seems like Rodgers even holds the key now, just to even save him off from jumping off a ledge. Like that's just awful. You know what I mean? It's awful. Like it's not even right. But as of right now, it seems like it.
Yeah, I see. We had a lot of comments here, but I think Edwin was just so eloquently put. This sucks ass, man. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, because before the year, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, talking about ending playoff droughts, we're talking about Super Bowl, and I was fired up, man. And now,
I agree.
We all know what happened, and now the fact that I'm talking about the draft still in the month of November just stinks, man. I don't want to be talking about this.
I know I don't want to talk about this crap either, but it seems like everyone's going to now. It just seems like that's what's trending in that direction. For me, I don't want to, but I understand why people would, though, because it's even though it seems like it's going that direction, even though Boyle's going to be starting again, this team the creativity is just not there anymore. The defense can only do so much. They got a pick 6 too. Like there's only certain things, and the defense is not going to be perfect all the time, even though they've been solid a lot. Missed tackles, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, but they've been the most consistent thing all year. And when your offense can't do crap, it's a very unfortunate what's happening. It's also, and you know what, fans? It's depressing. It's super depressing. You've been a fan your whole life. You did not want it to go this way. No one wanted to go this way.
Yeah. So the Jets right now have the 8th overall pick, and there is a path to a top 5 pick. We'll see kind of what happens over the coming weeks. It's hard for me to, because I've said, oh, well, this Raiders game could be a win. The Chargers game could be a win, and they've lost those. So, sure, could they beat the Falcons, a talented team, but sometimes in disarray? The Texans have a rookie quarterback who's playing spectacular, but maybe this Jets defense can get after him. You have the Patriots, who you don't ever beat, but they're terrible. So there is Washington, for instance. They've allowed more sacks than any team in the NFL. So that, in theory, could be a Jets feasting. So there are wins left on the schedule, but we'll see what happens there. Since we still have this on the screen, Italy, they have the 8th overall pick right now. What position would you go after based on all the information we know right now in the first round?
I know people are saying O-line.
Yep.
For me, it's wide receiver.
Okay.
I really would like a nice wide receiver. There's plenty of them coming up in the draft. That are going to be good ones. I like Coleman. I like the kid Washington as well.
Sure. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a freak. Yeah.
I love him too. But yeah, I like those three guys. I think a wide receiver, and you know what? Even if some miraculous thing happened, if we get another first round draft pick with Joe Douglas, even if he's here next year, definitely get O line. But I'm gearing wide receiver, but my backup would be O line. What about you?
Yeah, good question. I'm, of course, tantalized by the potential. Again, it depends where the Jets finish up, of course. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is, his father was here in Syracuse back in the 90s. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like a freak. He just looks like as safe of a prospect you could get. The Jets have had a bunch of busts over the years. Like, he just seems like a really good player, but he might slip in the draft because of the quarterback crazy people. So he might slip further than you would expect for a player of his caliber. So there's a chance that he stumbles a little bit. So if you're sitting at, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe he falls right into your lap. So I'd be tantalized. Personally, I think I have to go offensive tackle because Dwayne Brown's going to probably retire. And then who knows what's going to happen with Mekhi Becton. He's a pending free agent. So I'm probably getting the Penn State kid. I'm going to butcher his name, but the Penn State offensive tackle is probably at this point where I would go. And I will just say this, and feel free to comment. I just don't think there's any way you can take a quarterback with the whatever you finish up with somewhere in the top 10. Let's just say that. I don't think he can with Aaron Rodgers coming back. Aaron Rodgers be like, what the hell? We're trying to win right now, and you're using a pick for the future. So I think, to me, it has to be something that helps. So wide receiver, sure. Offensive tackle, which feels like the 2020 draft debate all over again. Mekhi Becton, CeeDee Lamb. Mekhi Becton, CeeDee Lamb. And I loved Lamb. Lamb was one of my favorite players in that draft, but
Same
I just
here.
felt like the Jets had to go offensive line because of
Right.
positional value. And I'm seeing Lamb light it up for Dallas, and it makes me sick because I
Me
love
too.
Lamb chop. But
Me
I
too.
knew in my head what the Jets had to do. But it was a healthy debate that year about which direction the Jets should go. Once again, we're in the same ballpark doing it. So for me, again, I'd probably go offensive tackle, but I'm not going to be mad if they draft some sexy wide receiver. I'll be like, oh, yeah, pair that with Garrett Wilson. That's phenomenal. That's how I feel.
I agree. I think both options are great. I think as long as they just Joe, if you're listening, if you're back next year, just don't pick a defensive player next year. Just please don't.
Maybe the
Just
entire draft just be offense. Maybe. I don't know. I think I'd be
why
willing to
not?
commit.
Why the heck not?
I mean, honestly, I mean, think about maybe you need a safety. Maybe you need I'm trying to think of other things. Yeah, probably that's about it. Like, probably you need safety or depth at the position. The
Right.
rest of it, offense, there's just so much need there. That's probably where I would go. Let me ask you that. So you asked it. We talked about it over the weekend after the debacle against Miami. Do you want Eddie Heads to roll? Do you want Joe Douglas? Do you want Robert Saleh? Hackett? Who else? All? Some? None? What is your take on all this?
Something is gonna happen because
Okay.
Woody Johnson is he's a short fuse kind of guy. Let's be honest, he's done this before where he's short fused and then he makes some changes. But one person's gonna go. I don't know like who it is, but then I could see them all coming back next year because Rodgers come back next year, give it one more round, and then 2025 is when you see some major changes. Now, if you're Woody Johnson, what would you do? Right? It's going to be between these three guys: Hackett, Saleh, and Joe Douglas. So I just think Ulbricht's not going to be here next year. I just think he's going to try and get a head coaching job. I think that would be interesting for him. He's done a very impressive job with the defense. I think he deserves a head coaching job if he continues to do what he's doing. But then again, I can also see him coming back next year. But I think it's going to be one of those three guys. Is going to be somewhat of a go. Now, here's the thing, right? What if a specific position coach goes? Calabrese, like maybe that could be a go. Maybe a specific wide receivers coach. I don't know. Something's going to happen on that offense that's going to be a little bit of a shakeup. but we just don't know yet. But like I said before, I can see him all come back next year because of the Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is just they put all their eggs in one basket, right, Boy Green? We put all the eggs in one basket, and this is what we're dealing with now. This is what our reality is now.
I will just say my bloodlust will not be quenched by firing a wide receiver coach or a tight end coach or something. Like, for me, this is a results-oriented business. And I just did an article about it because Zach Rosenblatt said if the Jets keep heading in this direction, like Saleh and Douglas could go. And I don't know, man. Like, I love Douglas in that 2022 draft, but the fact of the matter is just like 24-53 in terms of wins losses. Saleh's 15-30. I mean, the winning percentage speaks for itself. To me, I feel like after the Black Friday game and our post game reaction, everything, I am more willing now than I've ever been to fire any of them or all of them, Hackett, Saleh, blah, and then just consult with Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, this was so terrible. We had to do it, but we will let you have some say or be in the room as we're interviewing these replacements. That's probably where I'm at this point. Yeah.
And I can also see that too, because honestly, everything's fair game this offseason. Like there's gonna be a lot of things, there's gonna be a lot of rumors, a lot of juicy stuff gonna happen. It's like all of his boys that came in, Rodgers boys, none of them have really worked out. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
Yep. So now going back to the beginning, in case you missed it, because I don't know if they ever streamed that press conference, so you may not have seen it. But Saleh, after the Black Friday game, there's kind of a weird media schedule because of how everything works coming off this kind of game. But Saleh said they're going to give Timmy another run, referencing Tim Boyle. He will be QB1 against the Falcons. I don't know if we know the rest of the lineup, but I would assume it's the same in terms of Trevor Siemian, QB2, and then Zach Wilson, the emergency QB3. I imagine that's going to be the plan. And boy, Boyle was terrible. I was having fun. Let him Boyle. Like, this is going to be fun. He's going to get his chance. And apparently Saleh told the Amazon Prime crew, maybe he's Kurt Warner. Maybe he's not, based on what I saw. Terrible. A Hail Mary pick six. Hail Mary. I cannot believe that happened. And then my dad was a dick. Like, I'm going to be honest. We're watching it, so I'm watching with the family. Yeah. It happens. He's like, wow, that after like the touchdown happens to the W, he's like, wow, that couldn't have gone worse for the Jets. I'm like, thanks, Dad. Way to be a dick. I was like, unbelievable. So yeah, I was just, when you're with family, like when I'm by myself, I am destructive. I am saying all kinds of things that I would not be allowed into heaven for. Like I am unloading. But when I'm with family, I'm a bit more cordial. I'm like, okay, well, I try to rein it in. But yeah, my dad was a total dick with that Hail Murray or Hail Mary pick six and said, wow, that couldn't have gone any worse. Thanks, Dad. I agree. It couldn't have. Thank you for bringing that up. It was just terrible. So, I still can't believe that happened. One of the most embarrassing plays in NFL history. Pathetic.
And that's what we're going to be known for again, is another butt fumble, mono situation, the MILFs, this. It's just going to keep piling up again. We're going to be the laughing stock again. Like it's just, it's so stressful. And I understand what you're saying about family. I'm surrounded by Cowboys, Bears, Chiefs fans. So in my family, so it's everyone's a dick. Just everyone's a dick. Raiders too. I'm surrounded by Raiders fans as well. So it's everyone is just lined up just because it's the punchline. Jets are the punchline for everything, so everyone's just lined up to do it.
Yeah, that's William Justice just said, Dad, master of the obvious. There was like that going on. Like he would just say like the Captain Obvious things, but like that didn't need to be said, but he said it anyway. Like that he supported he's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, but like when I'm in his presence, he, and maybe even when I'm not, that he tries to root for the Jets if they're not playing the Cowboys. And but it just, my wind has been taken out of my sail leading into this past game against the Dolphins. I'm like, the Jets could do this. They could turn this around. They can win this unlikely game. And then again, keep the Aaron Rodgers dream alive. I would have stated the obvious. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers this year if they have no chance at the playoffs, which again, it looks very dire right now. So outside of something crazy happening, they go on a crazy winning streak and other teams go on losing streaks. It's not going to happen. But outside of that, I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers because I don't want to risk it. Let's just like go to hell or excuse me, go to the grindstone this offseason and make 2024 as crazy as you can and do everything you can to make it the craziest, awesomest thing ever. I want a healthy Rodgers. I could not forgive myself. Aaron Rodgers trots out there against the Commanders or something and immediately re-injures his Achilles and he's out for like his career or all of next season. They're like, what in God's green earth did we just do? So
but in Jets fashion, that's what's probably going to happen. I'm serious because that's just what the Jets way is right now. All these piling injuries that we have constantly have been going through. We have been one of the worst teams for O-line injuries in the last 5-6 years. So it's kind of like leading up towards it. I understand you're trying to kickstart the team, right? Going into next year, kickstarting, trying to get them all back on track because they're all depressed at the moment. Trying to bring in Rodgers to fill in that gap. But with the O-line that we have, they were feasting on Boyle yesterday. No. We face against the Dolphins one more time. And the Patriots one more time. And other teams one more time. I just don't like it. I understand, but I don't like it.
Yeah. So again, we'll see how all of that plays out. Tomorrow we'll have Matt O'Leary on the show. We also have a Falcons insider. It's spelled differently, but Myles Garrett will be joining the show on Friday. A different Myles Garrett, but actually, nice. I think I'm just going to promote that. I'm just going to say, hey, everybody, Myles Garrett's joining us this week, which is technically accurate. That is his name. He is a guy who covers the Falcons, but I think it'll just get more pub if I just say Myles Garrett's joining the show later this week. So I guess I will start doing that a little bit later. Italy, thanks as always, man, and we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7:30. Thanks, everybody, and take care.